I'm so happy to be here in New York. My first time headlining New York City. Because yes, it's fun. Normally I'm headlining out of town, and when I do that, I'm usually flying on the cheapest airlines, Spirit, Frontier, etc. And having flown these airlines so much, I've come to learn that, so the worst part of flying Spirit isn't that the seats are uncomfortable or that the accommodations are bad. The worst part of flying Spirit is that if you have a medical emergency, there is no chance there's a doctor on board. If your heart gives out, make peace with whatever you call God, for there is no one coming to save you. And if there is a doctor on board, you do not want them touching you. Rule of thumb, everyone on a Spirit flight is the least talented person at what they do. Okay, if they were such a good doctor, wouldn't they have more than $37? And somewhere better to be than Tampa? It's nice being here in New York. I've lived here for 9 years now. This month is 9 years that I've been in New York. And yeah, I love it. There's this saying that I've heard about the difference between people in New York and Los Angeles. It goes, people in New York are mean to your face, and people in Los Angeles are mean behind your back. Have we heard this? Yeah. Yes? And I think it's half true. I think that people in New York are mean to your face. But I just don't get where they got this idea that they're not also mean behind your back. I live in New York. I say mean stuff behind people's backs constantly. I would say mean stuff about Michael if I knew he was gone. I love living in New York, though. So one of my other favorite parts about living in New York is that just by virtue of living here, you get to meet so many Nepo Babies. This is their playground, they're just around. My favorite kind of Nepo baby to meet is one whose like last name is the thing. You know, is the thing that made the family what they are. Like I'll be at a party and my friend is like, you see that girl over there? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, that's Amelia Oreo. I was like, okay, so that's how she affords this apartment. And why she won't talk to Ellie Milano. But these Nepo babies, they try to hide it sometimes. They try to hide it, and I don't care for that at all. Like Malia is going by Malia Ann now, and that's not gonna work. Because I haven't even said her last name, but I'm pretty sure we all know which Malia I'm talking about. If anyone doesn't know, Malia Obama is a short filmmaker. She goes by Malia Ann because she wants her art to be judged on its own merit, which I understand, you know. God forbid a short film not be fairly assessed. I feel for her. If you're the child of a president, there's really only so many jobs you can have. You know, you can either be a short filmmaker, you can host the Today Show, or you can become the president. But I want to write a handbook for Nepo babies. It's 1 page long and it says just own it. It says to just say, my life is easier because of who my parents are. If that upsets you, that's valid. I'm sorry your parents are mouth-breathing losers who can't help you do anything. Now, after the break, Hoda and I will be trying what many are calling the cocktail of the summer. I'm not a Nepo baby. Sometimes people think I am, because my last name is one letter off from an extremely popular 80s rock and roll band called Van Halen. I do not care about this band at all. I would not have chosen this life for me. Because constantly people are always asking me, they're like, hey, do you like Van Halen? I'm like, I don't know. Do I look like a 55-year-old man who doesn't talk to his children? No? Then no, I don't like Van Halen, okay? If it were up to me, my name would be Jonathan Van Kanye West before all that stuff happened. Between us, a little bit after. My dad is not in Van Halen. My dad is a 66-year-old immigrant from the Netherlands. He is a weird person, or so I think. That's the thing. I don't know if anyone here has a parent who's an immigrant. If you have a parent who's an immigrant, you can never really tell if they're acting immigrant weird or weird weird. So you just end up Googling things. You're like, is it Dutch culture to shut down emotionally when losing at Scrabble? Turns out that's just a Jan thing. Just Jan Van Halem. And then my mom, she's classic American mom. She's proud of me all the time, perhaps too much so. I was home visiting recently, and I was making breakfast in the kitchen, and my mom walked in, and she just looked at me and she went, "Ugh, is there anything you can't do?" And then I start to buy into it. I'm like, okay, a lot of hype around Jonathan. My mom treats me the way that Pharrell treats Maggie Rogers in that one video. You know, she's just like, wow. I have no notes. I cut my parents some slack, though I wasn't an easy kid. As a kid, I was a very scared kid. As a kid, I was very afraid that I was going to be kidnapped by Osama Bin Laden. Which I will admit was a bit hubristic. A bit hubristic to see 9/11 happen and think, I imagine I am next on the list. World Trade Center, Pentagon, Jonathan. My parents did not entertain this fear at all. They were just like, why would Osama Bin Laden want to kidnap you? I was like, I don't know, maybe because I'm the fastest kid in my class? Do you not understand what sort of asset I could be to Al-Qaeda? Besides, they're down 19 guys. I don't think they're gonna be that picky. Actually, I learned this pretty interesting thing about Osama bin Laden recently. I was reading this article about what the CIA found on his hard drive after they killed him. It was pretty interesting. They mainly found three things. The first thing that they found was anti-American propaganda, classic. They found a copy of the movie Ice Age, and then they found a ton of porn. I used to think this was an evil man. Now I'm just like, sounds like you're pretty standard dude. Tell me he was just a horny dude who hates America with an ironic love of children's movies? Just sounds like any guy you'd meet in Bushwick. It's nice to be with you all here. Nice to be with you all here on a Saturday. Yes, correct. Wonderful. I worked yesterday. I'm done at work. I've completely checked out. I'm done trying at work, because why try? Really, why try at work when I can read Reddit threads about open relationships that aren't working? You guys reading these things? They are incredible. If anyone doesn't know, an open relationship is when two people are destined to break up, but in the process would like to make it as painful as possible. You know, a lot of comedians talk about sex on stage. And yeah, I've had it. I understand this pleasure of which they speak. But I don't like talking about sex on stage. It's not for me. I much prefer to talk about kissing. More my vibe, more my speed. My first kiss was when I was 13 years old. I was playing Truth or Dare, which, by the way, what a game. Let me tell you, that is a game by kids for kids. You never get to play Truth or Adult in a Dare. Excuse me, you never get to play Truth or Dare as an adult. You'll never be at the airport and your flight gets delayed and the pilot's just like, I know how we could kill some time. And really, when you're a kid, there are two games that kids play to instigate kissing. There is Truth or Dare for if you want to kiss someone, and then there's Spin the Bottle for if you want to kiss anyone. That is the kissing game for kids with the abundance mindset. So as I was playing Truth or Dare, I got dared to kiss this girl, and I did it, and that was my first kiss. Because, you know, if you're playing Truth or Dare, you have to pick Dare. Some people pick Truth. Those people are cowards. I hate those people. To this day, if someone is like, hey man, can I be honest with you about something? I'm just like, I'd rather you not. In fact, I dare you not to be honest with me. Now let's go find a ketchup bottle and make this work trip interesting. I got some good news. So I got engaged. Thank you. My fiance and I, we have been together for 4 years. We met online. We met on a dating app called Slack. And we want to get married next fall, and we would like to do it for cheap. And in my research, I found out that really the only way to have a cheap wedding in the fall is if you get married on September 11th. It falls on a Friday next year. Check to see if any of the venues were available. Turns out every venue is available. My fiance, she's not that hot on this idea, so I made a pros and cons list. Pro, you will always remember when your anniversary is. Dare I say you will never forget it. Cons, that's a longer list. That's a much longer list. But I went to so many weddings this year. I went to 5 weddings. And after going to all those weddings, I realized what it is that I like about a wedding and what I don't like. And what I like about a wedding, I like when things go a little bit wrong at a wedding. Like I was at a wedding a few weeks ago for my friend Langston. And during the ceremony, the priest forgot his name. And instead of referencing his notes, he just took a shot in the dark and called him Plankton. That's not even a human name. And then, instead of apologizing, he just looked at Langston's wife and said, well, I guess that makes you SpongeBob. Which, first off, no it wouldn't. If anything, it'd make her his computer wife, Karen. Second off, what are you even talking about? SpongeBob and Plankton? They would never get married. 2 extroverts? It would never work. But I like the priest. I like the cut of his jib. I think they got a fantastic deal on this guy. I went up to him afterwards. I was like, hey man, what are you doing next September 11th? We want to get married for cheap. I want to do everything for cheap. That's my way. That's who I am. I do not have much money. I do not mind. It has never bothered me. In fact, sometimes it comes in handy. For instance, about 6 or 7 years ago, my apartment got broken into, and the person who did it didn't steal any of my things. Stole my roommate's things. My roommate's MacBook, that got stolen. My HP laptop, completely untouched. My roommate got home first. He called me. He was like, Jonathan, you need to get home right now. Our apartment got broken into, and whoever did this ransacked your bedroom. And then I got home, took one look at my bedroom, exactly the way I left it. Exactly the way I left it. But I couldn't let my roommate know this, so I was like, oh no, the robber spilled Dr. Pepper on my nightstand. And he's the one who put all of my clothes in a pile on the floor. And what's this? He even jacked off into one of my socks? Boy, am I mad at these things he did. I do like to save money. I'm a pretty cheap person. Is this a McDonald's crowd? We got any McDonald's people? Hell yeah. Wonderful. I love McDonald's. I eat more McDonald's than I ever care to admit. I think it's fantastic stuff. I watched that movie Super Size Me. I was like, hell yeah, brother. Don't let that doctor slow you down. McDonald's has done this incredible thing for their frequent customers where they made an app. And does anyone have the McDonald's app? Hell yeah. Wonderful. Fantastic. So for the few who know, those who don't, McDonald's, they made an app. It's the worst app in the history of technology. It needs to be updated every 6 minutes. And even after you've updated it, when you open it up, it makes your phone freeze, which is your phone's way of trying to save you. Your phone wants no part in what's about to happen. So after you've circumvented your phone's little attempt, what you have to do is you enter a 4-digit code into a kiosk. There are no more human employees at McDonald's. They got rid of them like 5 years ago. Every McDonald's is just kiosks and wet floor signs. Every McDonald's has 200 wet floor signs. It is like an alternate dimension where wet floor signs are the only status symbol. The floors, they're not even remotely wet. You feel like you're having a stroke. But you're just like, all right, if this is their culture, then who am I to say otherwise? I eat a lot of McDonald's. I used to eat a lot of Subway. I don't know if anyone's been. Subway is up to some pretty wild shit these days. Whoever's making the menu at Subway has experienced a psychotic break from reality. If RFK knew what was going on at Subway, he would make that priority number 1. Because in the last 2 years alone, they have added to their menu both foot-long cookies and foot-long nachos. It is, without a doubt, the most interesting pivot I have ever seen a chain restaurant make. Because they used to be like, we will give you a foot's worth of sandwich. And now they're just like, we will give you a foot's worth of anything. Sandwich, chips, cookies, soup. You want a foot's worth of soup? We'll figure it out. If that's what you want, we'll figure it out. Whatever it takes to get your mind off of Jared. But our mind is still very much on Jared. Been watching a lot of TV recently. My favorite show is this show called What Would You Do? People know it? Yes? All right, cool. If anyone doesn't know, What Would You Do? It's a hidden camera show where they set up conflicts in public to test the morals of unsuspecting strangers. It is hosted by this man, John Quiones, a guy who doesn't look like any other person. And he administers his little jigsaw-esque morality tests in diners all across the United States. It used to film the show in northern New Jersey. The show is based out of New York. It's part of ABC News. They would film in northern New Jersey, which is a fantastic decision. If the success of your show is predicated on people butting in on conversations that they're not a part of, New Jersey is the perfect place to film. I love the show What Would You Do? Because I have a kind of special connection to it. I grew up in northern New Jersey, and they used to film in my town. And all this to say, I know 4 people who've been on What Would You Do? I would get to school and people would just be like, did you see What Would You Do last night? Danielle's dad was on it. I'd be like, did he do the right thing? And they'd be like, no. Like, oh shit, Danielle's dad saw ableism and didn't do anything to stop it. I love TV. I used to work in TV. It's the job I had for the longest. When I moved to New York, I worked in TV. For 6 years, I worked in cable news. For 3 years, I worked at MSNBC, and for 3 years, I worked at Fox News. Okay. I understand that is an odd 1-2 punch. It's like telling people that you used to work at a food bank, and then also Fox News. People always ask, they're always curious, they're like, what was the difference between the people who worked at both of those places? And the best way that I can put it is that the people who worked at Fox were weird, and the people who worked at MSNBC were annoying. Basically, everyone who worked at MSNBC was that kid in school who would like remind the teacher that they forgot to assign homework. And everyone who worked at Fox was that kid who was like, do you want to see my dad's gun? And it's like, yes, I do, but I don't think my mom's gonna let me come to your house anymore. I worked for Fox for 3 years. I was an intern. The whole time I worked there, I didn't get to meet any of the other interns because my job was to walk the on-air guests from the green room to the studio. So even though I didn't get to meet any of the interns, I did become friendly with some of the on-air talent. The closest friend that I made when I worked there, he was this guy who's very nice, who's very polite, very kind. The only downside about him is that he was Republican operative Karl Rove. Okay. So some of you might know him as the architect to the Iraq War. To me, he's the only coworker I had who also watched BoJack Horseman. And I get that this is a bad look for me, certainly where I'm from, you know, because in woke Brooklyn, you're not supposed to be friends with Karl Rove. It's how life happens sometimes. I got to meet all of the highest profile people when I worked there. Because when I worked at Fox, I interned for what at the time was the highest rated show at the network. It was called The O'Reilly Factor. It was hosted by Bill O'Reilly. If anyone doesn't know who Bill O'Reilly is why your dad is the way he is. You know how you saw a photo of your dad from the 80s? He's like at the beach and he's wearing an open button down and he's smiling and you're just like, what happened to him? Bill O'Reilly is what happened to that guy. He ended up getting fired 3 months after I left because it turned out the network had spent over $40 million settling sexual harassment suits against him, which was kind of a reoccurring theme in my cable news career. Because I worked for this lady, Gretchen Carlson, and then she got fired. And then I worked for Bill O'Reilly, and then he got fired. Then I went to MSNBC, and then Matt Lauer got fired. I was essentially the harbinger of death for cable news personalities. I was like that little girl from The Ring. I would just look at an anchor and be like, 7 days. Tell you this, I'm really thinking a lot about 2028 these days. And here's what I want from 2028. What I want in 2028, I want a Trump-Biden rematch. But this time, Hunter versus Barron. Because that's a win-win. Hunter wins, incredible. And not this new Hunter, okay? I want the old Hunter. I want the fun Hunter. I want the Hunter who's making the national anthem Pursuit of Happiness by Kid Cudi. I want the Hunter who's replacing Jackson on the 20 with a picture of a whippet. There is no male loneliness epidemic in that man's America. And then if Barron wins, you know, that's... Here's the thing. We as a society do not talk enough about how weird it is that one of Donald Trump's sons is a 7-foot-tall Slavic teenager. I don't mind. It's just that every other president has had normal-sized American children. And Donald Trump has a 7-foot-tall Slavic teenager. I just feel like if Barack Obama had a 7-foot-tall Slavic son, we would have talked about it. You telling me Sean Hannity wouldn't have had a problem with that? You telling me Sean Hannity would not have had an issue if Barack Obama had a 7-foot-tall Slavic son who looked like one of the figurines from Welcome to Marwen? It's an obscure reference, I'll give you that. It is an obscure reference. It's a movie from 9 years ago that no one saw. But I'll tell you this, you go home after this show, you Google Barron Trump, you Google Welcome to Marwen figurine, you'll see the joke more than checks out. More than checks out. What did someone say? Did someone say that's funny? Or did I just imagine that? I'll take it, hell. Laughs, audible, that's funnies. It all comes through on the tape. But what did you say?
I said they really liked that joke.
Yes, they did. Well, actually, it's debatable. I think 3 people like the Welcome to Marwen reference. Then I think I kind of won everyone back with the little coda I had afterwards. Because if you can believe it, I've done that joke to silence many times. And you kind of come up with a little different survival instincts up here. I've had a lot of jobs over the years. I've had a lot of jobs over the years. Toughest job I had, when I was 13, I worked as a Little League baseball umpire. I never met more people who weren't getting into heaven than when I worked as a Little League umpire. As a comedian, it's incredible training because it prepared me for hecklers. It's like, there is nothing that you can say to me that's meaner than what I've already heard. Because these dads, ooh, they did not like me. Let me tell you, they did not like me. And to be fair, I get it. My strike zone was inconsistent. The strike zone, it's supposed to vary based on how tall the batter is. My strike zone varied based on how badly I wanted to go home. It's like, ooh, new episode of Family Guy that night? You better swing at everything, kid. But I love baseball. I love it. I've loved it my entire life. I'm a big fan of baseball. I'm not like a America's pastime fan. I'm like a mom took Tylenol during pregnancy. That's like my baseball fandom. And I'm a New York Mets fan. I love the New York Mets. Hell yeah, let's go Mets, baby. I love the Mets. I love the New York Mets because they're the only team with the guts to give their mascot an extremely hot wife. It's like, oh, you can go to Yankee Stadium and see Aaron Judge? Well, I can go to Citi Field and feel sexually confused. If anyone doesn't know, the Mets have a mascot. His name is Mr. Met, and he has a wife, and her name is Mrs. Met. And let me tell you, what a lady. She is the kind of woman that Billy Joel writes songs about. Just picture this, truly picture this. Face, 10. Body, 10. Personality, indecipherable. She does not speak, that is not part of her thing. But if she could speak, oh baby, those words, they'd be magnificent. I love the Mets because they have this incredible broadcaster. One of the Mets broadcasters, his name is Keith Hernandez. He's a 70-year-old man. He's been the Mets broadcaster for about 25 years. And it has become clear in the past few years that he's going through some sort of mortality-fueled existential crisis. It is very much seeped into his broadcasting. So I want to see if you pick up on it as well. I want to read for you a little passage from a recent game where he's talking to his co-broadcaster, Gary Cohen. So the conversation, it starts with Gary. Gary says, "So Keith, are you going to stay up tonight and watch the 10 o'clock game?" Keith, No. You know, as I've gotten older, I like to get up early and enjoy the full day. After all, I haven't got too many days left." You see what I'm talking about. Gary, come on now, Keith. You're still young. Keith, well, I got the big 7-0 in October. It's a little daunting. Gary, you know, with modern medicine and technology, you could live to be at least 100. Very nice of him to say. I've seen Keith. There's no way. No way. And you know what? Keith knows this too. Because Keith says, I don't know. I think I have too many hurts. If I'm okay physically and mentally, I'll take another 15 years. 85 years old? I'd take that. Gary, Vogelback strikes out and the side is retired. I can actually put this in the front row instead of having it be a tripping hazard. Baseball. I root for the Mets because I'm from New Jersey. I'm a Jersey guy through and through. I went to the public schools. Real quick, by round of applause, who here went to public school? All right, that's nearly everyone. I don't know if my public school was good, but I will say that we did watch a lot of movies. We watched movies in classes that it didn't really even make sense to watch movies. Like we watched movies in Spanish class. I took Spanish for 10 years. I took Spanish every year from 2nd grade to 11th grade. Now, can I speak Spanish? No. But I've seen the movie Selena 4 times. I have no idea how to conjugate Sarah and know every detail about that poor Latina woman. My parents would just be like, what did you learn today? And I'd just be like, you're going to want to sit down for this. A Latina pop star was taken from us far too soon. I went to public school. I also went to Hebrew school. I went to Hebrew school, but all of my friends were Catholic, so they went to this thing called CCD. Any CCD attendees? Okay, a couple. All right, so for anyone who doesn't know, CCD it's an after-school program once a week where 20 Catholic children bully a 40-year-old woman until she is absolutely broken. And the big flaw with this is it's not taught by one of the leaders of the church. It's just taught by one of the kids' moms. And the thing about suburban moms is they're not actually all equipped to teach existential philosophy. And it doesn't help that Catholic children are the meanest people in the world. And it's because they've learned of hell too early. So they have nothing left to fear. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't be afraid of Mrs. McNally either. She's no match for the devil. I went to public school. I liked public school. I liked public school because they at least take a stab at teaching you sex ed. They don't nail it, but they give it a try. I think that's very admirable. My school started us young. I had sex ed for the first time in 5th grade. They were basically like, hey, now that you've learned about rhombuses, it's about time that you learn about chlamydia. But I thought it was very unfair the way that they taught sex ed at my school. Because what they did at my school, they split up the boys and the girls. And the girls were taught sex ed by the nurse, a medically trained professional with an innate understanding of the human body. And do you know who they got to teach the boys sex ed? Say it with me. The goddamn gym teacher. Oh, you mean the dumbest guy at the school? We looked around, that's the best we could find. The dumbest guy at the school. It's like, yeah, no shit, girls mature faster than boys. They didn't learn about sex from a guy who has CTE. They try their hardest, though, these teachers, let me tell you. I had one teacher, he's a great teacher. He went outside of the box sometimes. He was my 10th grade history teacher. And I remember he was teaching us, he was in charge of teaching us about the United States before the American Revolution. So, you know, the Magna Carta, Salem witch trials, etc. And it also meant that he was in charge of teaching us about the transatlantic slave trade. He decided that the way he was going to teach about the cruelty of the ship was through interactive role play, in which he was the ship's captain and the kids were, as he referred to it, the cargo. There is no off-ramp for this story, so just strap in. Which meant that one day he just walked into class, he started yelling at us. He went, everyone get in the corner right now, get in the corner right now. And we got in the corner because we were so confused, we had no idea what was going on. And then he turned off the lights and he went, nobody move, nobody talk. And then we sat there for 5 minutes, completely confused. And then he turned the lights back on and he went, all right, everyone, go back to your seats. And then we all sat down and he went to the front of the classroom. His name was Mr. M. And he said, look, I'm sorry if any of you got scared. I'm sorry that I yelled, but I just wanted to show you what it's like to be forced to go somewhere you don't want to go. And then he looked at us and he went, not so fun, was it? Over the years, people have asked me if I thought he ran this lesson by other teachers, and I don't think he ran this by anyone. I think if he had run this by a 100-year-old Alzheimer's patient, they would have had a moment of lucidity where they were like, hey man, too far. Truthfully, after the lesson happened, I kind of forgot about it. Until a week later when Mr. M came into class, and he had a very different demeanor than he normally had. He was very somber, very serious. And he walked to the front of the classroom and he went, all right, everyone, I have an announcement to make. And he said, today is going to be my last day teaching you. He said, it turns out that someone complained about the lesson that I taught last week. It even lied to the principal and said that I threw a chair at a student. And then he said, I'm not mad, but I just want to know who did it. And then he started walking around the room. And he walked up to this girl sitting in the front row named Ariana. And he went, Ariana, someone in my first period class thinks that you did it. And she got very defensive. She was like, I didn't do anything. I didn't talk to the principal. I didn't talk to my parents. I didn't talk to anyone. And then Mr. M looked at the class and said, by show of hands, who here thinks Ariana did it? And slowly kids started raising their hand. 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids. I raised my hand, not because I thought Ariana did it, but because I knew if I didn't have my hand raised, then I could be the target of his question. And he said, well, Ariana, looks like everyone in class thinks that you did it. And he said, because of you, I am losing my job. I am going to have to sell my car. I'm moving back in with my parents. And then Ariana starts crying. She is bawling her eyes out. She is inconsolable. At which point, Mr. M goes back to the front of the classroom. And he says, I have one more announcement to make. And then he goes, today, will actually not be my last day teaching. And then he goes, this was all a lesson on what it was like to be a woman during the Salem witch trials. He went, look at how quickly you all turned on sweet Danielle. How whipped up you got by the fear and hysteria. He said, I hope you all leave this class with a newfound appreciation on the dangers of false accusations. I got home from school, my parents were like, what did you learn today? And I was like, you're actually gonna wanna sit down for this. So I realize now that I should have at the time known something was up. I didn't know this as a 15-year-old, I know this as a 31-year-old, that when they fire a teacher, they actually don't let them stick around for the rest of the school day. And they certainly don't let them interrogate the students on which one of them got him fired. And I was so curious if Mr. M was still teaching this lesson this way that I decided to send him an email and ask if he was still teaching the slave trade like this. And to my surprise, he did get back to me. So I would very much enjoy to read for you the email that he sent me after I asked him if this is still how he's teaching the slave trade. He said, Jonathan, so nice to hear from you. What a blast from the past. I Googled you and see you're doing stand-up comedy now, haha. Hope you're not talking about me on stage. I no longer teach 10th grade history. I do AP geography now, but I shared the lesson with the teacher who backfilled me. I don't think she uses it. I'm not entirely sure how she teaches the slave trade, but I believe she just shows the students a movie. My time with you is waning, but there's still a few other things that I want to talk about. One of which, so that story, I went to school at a place, Hanover Park High School. It's in East Hanover, New Jersey. This will be fine. I'm from a town called Florham Park, and recently the local newspaper decided to write an article about me, which was very flattering. I brought it with me tonight. They called it, "This Guy's No Joke, Florham Park native tours the country to pursue dream in stand-up comedy." Just a little context for my town. To get an article written about you, you don't even actually have to do anything, merely having a dream is enough. You don't need to follow through. The dream doesn't even have to be going well. I was very touched because I was on the front page underneath this St. Patrick's Day article called Feeling Lucky, where they misspelled feeling. I don't know if you can all see it. They went with the non-standard F-E-L-L-I-N spelling. So I was very flattered to be written about in the paper, but I did take some issue with a few of the things that the author wrote. So I just wanted to go through those with you now. The first thing, he opens the article saying, any comedian can talk about flying or online dating, but Jonathan Van Halem has stories he's pretty confident he's the only one telling. I have bits about both flying and online dating. He goes on to say, I think at certain points he was stretching for material. Because he said, speaking over the phone from his hotel in Pittsburgh on Friday, February 21st, Van Halem said he has to flex different muscles for different places where he travels. For example, looking ahead to his 2 shows in Pittsburgh that weekend, he knew he couldn't make a joke there about the often delayed New York City Subway 7 train. And then following this is a quote from me. I know that in Pittsburgh, I can't talk about the subway being delayed. He wrote, one of Van Halem's goals as a comic is to do stand-up during a late-night talk show. I dream of doing stand-up on a late-night talk show. During sounds like I infiltrated a taping, uninvited, and just started doing stand-up comedy. He also said, Van Halem says that he'd love to perform at the Mayo Performing Arts Center in Morristown, and he'd like to headline the Stress Factory in New Brunswick. I think this is a wonderful time to give Sesh a big round of applause for hosting me tonight. Thank you very much. I told him that I wanted to headline here too, but he must have forgot to include it in the article. This was very flattering. It was very flattering to be written about. I like being from there, I suppose. I don't know. I have one final story for you tonight, and it's from kind of my hometown area. It's a story. It's the closest I've ever come to being arrested, and it's when I was 17 years old, and I was working at a grocery store in Madison, New Jersey called Stop and Shop, and I hated working at the grocery store. Me and the other cashiers, we used to argue over who got to go into the parking lot and collect the shopping carts. That was the best job, because if you were lucky, you'd get hit by a car and die. And the nice thing about being dead is you no longer have to work at Stop and Shop. So I worked there, and the story starts, it's the last shift that I ever worked at Stop and Shop. It was a week before I went off to college. It was the end of a shift. It was 10:57, and this guy, he comes to my lane, and he's buying a pack of double stuffed Oreos. This guy, he's in his mid or late 50s, and he wanted to pay for it with a $100 bill. This is atypical. Normally, people who are buying Oreos at 11 p.m. are not paying for it with a $100 bill. Usually, it's people with bloodshot eyes, a handful of coins, and a dream. And so he hands me the $100 bill. I give him $97 back in change. And he says to me, "Hey man, if I give you these $97 plus $3 more, will you give me back the $100 bill I used to pay?" And anyone who's ever been a cashier knows this is a very common scam. This is called a quick change. It is where a person asks for different denominations of change enough times in hopes that you get confused and give them too much money. I was very aware of this because I had just taken a training called How to Spot a Quick Change because I had fallen for this scam, but only 2 weeks prior. I told him, I was like, "Hey man, I can't engage in this scam with you." He's understandably upset, you know. I'm sure word had gotten out that there's an easy mark at the Madison, New Jersey Stop and Shop. He doesn't even really want the Oreos. So he pivots to plan B, which is to reach over the register, grab as much money as he can, and run out the door. Which I thought, fantastic pivot. I had taken no training to combat that. After I processed what happened, I called over my manager. She comes over. I tell her everything that happened. She's completely nonplussed. She just looks at me. She goes like, "Yeah, these guys come in here all the time, look for the stupidest looking cashier, and then absolutely run them ragged." And she says, "All right." She counts out the register. She says, "There's $160 missing." She says, there are two options. She said, "Because last time this happened, it was less than 100, we didn't have to call the police. Since it's more than 100, we'll have to call the police, since that makes it grand larceny instead of petty." She says to me, "We have two options." She said, "We can either call the police and tell them what happened, or you can replace the money in the register out of your own pocket." I think that that's crazy. She says to me, "It will actually be less trouble if you do that." I'm like, "No fucking way. Am I replacing the money?" I'm like, "Call the cops, okay?" I'm super pro cop. I'm like, "Get the boys in blue down here right now." She's like, "You know what? It's late. Just go home. I'll handle all of this." And so I went home. She called the police, and then I went off to college. I didn't hear about it again for you know, I was out at school, and then 3 months later, I'm in the student center, and I get a call, and I answer it, and I'm like, "Hello?" And on the other side of the line, this guy goes, "Hello, this is Detective Shannon with the Madison, New Jersey Police Department." He goes, I have good news. We have caught Marvin. I'm like, who's Marvin? And he goes, the Stop and Shop Flim Flam man. And then he's like, we need you to come down tomorrow night to testify in a trial against Marvin. I explained to him, like, oh, I actually can't do it. I'm out at college now. I'm like a few hours away. I can't really make it back home to testify in the trial. And then he says to me, if you don't come back here and testify, we will have no choice but to issue a subpoena for your arrest. If anyone doesn't know, basically, if you don't help the cops arrest who they want to arrest, they just arrest you. Kind of an eye for an eye situation. So he's like, whatever it costs, just buy the ticket. Stop and Shop will reimburse you for your time. They'll reimburse you for the cost of the travel. Just come back here. It'll be good karma. And so I change my schedule. I do everything. I buy a ticket. I go back to Madison, and I go to the courtroom that night, and Detective Shannon finds me, and he goes, okay, here's what's going to happen. You will go in there. You will tell the judge what happened. The judge will find him guilty, and we will all go home. And then he said, this isn't one of those bullshit trials that has a jury. Always a part of the legal system I was quite fond of. They said, wait right here. We're going to get going as soon as Marvin arrives. And so I sit on a bench in a hallway, and I'm there for about 10 minutes. And eventually I see this police officer walking in with a guy in handcuffs. And I look at the man in handcuffs, and I recognize him, because it's Marvin. And we definitely were not supposed to see each other, because I just sort of wave. And then he just looks at me and he nods. He's then taken away. I'm still sitting there waiting on the bench. I'm waiting there for about half an hour. Eventually, Detective Shannon comes out. He goes, Jonathan, I have some bad news. He said, the trial tonight has been canceled. He said, Marvin complained about having chest pains. He said, it's probably bullshit, but if anyone ever complains about chest pains, legally we have to take them to the hospital. Which is annoying, but pretty smart. That's the Marvin I know, always scheming. So I go back to college. A week later, I get a call from Detective Shannon. He's like, come testify. I say no. He says, we'll arrest you. I say, okay. I come back. This time, I'm put in a room before the trial starts. I am sitting there. I'm waiting for the trial to start. This time, a police officer who has Marvin in hand brings him into the room and sits him down with me and leaves. It is just me and Marvin in a room, unsupervised. And let me tell you, once you get to know him, actually a pretty cool guy. I'll say this about Marvin. He grew up in the school of hard knocks, okay? He and I, we had a lot in common. We both disliked the Madison, New Jersey Stop and Shop. Eventually, he gets taken away. I'm sitting there. Detective Shannon comes in. He says, hey, Marvin, chest pains. I'm like, yeah, I know the deal. I go back to college. I get a call 2 weeks later from Detective Shannon. I'm like, Detective Shannon, whatever you do, I don't care anymore, okay? I'm not coming back. I'm not testifying in this trial. If you have to arrest me, just fucking do it, okay? I don't care. He says, Jonathan, calm down. He goes, we are dropping the charges against Marvin. I was like, oh, why? He said, it's because he was arrested for doing something so much worse. I was like, can you tell me what it was? And he said, no. He said, but I'm calling you to give you an email address so that you can send all of your travel receipts and the hours that you spent to Stop and Shop so that you can get reimbursed. And so I did that, and I want to read for you the email that Stop and Shop sent back. They said to me, Dear Jonathan, thank you for your continued support in the ongoing court case against Marvin Williamson. Unfortunately, the company has decided that since you were subpoenaed by the court, we will not be able to reimburse you for your travel expenses nor pay you for your time. Thank you again for your support in this matter. All of us at Stop and Shop appreciate your commitment to law and order. Your bravery did not go unnoticed. Merry Christmas, Stop and Shop. So, I think that this is pretty fucked up. And what I decide, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my money back. I was out about $300, so I decided what I was gonna do while I was home for Christmas break was to go to Stop and Shop every day and steal $15 worth of stuff until I've gotten my money back. And look, I understand that there's a lot of bad people in the story, okay? Me, Marvin, Stop and Shop. But I felt like this was, like it was, due justice. And so I'm there, and I'm doing this. I'm doing it for about a week. And then on the 7th day, I'm in Stop and Shop putting stuff in my pockets. I got tapped on the shoulder, and it's security. And they're like, come with me. I was like, okay. And they were like, we have you on camera stealing merchandise every day for the past week. And I was like, prove it. And then they did. I was like, touche. And they're like, since it's over $100 worth of merchandise, we have called the police. So I sit there and I wait, and every thought's going through my head. Am I going to be expelled from school? Am I going to get in trouble? I get arrested. And then as I'm sitting there fretting through all this stuff, the door opens. I look up, and who do I see but Detective Shannon? And he looks at me. He goes, Jonathan? And I go, sup? Then he says to me, you need to come with me right now. And I say, I'd actually love to come with you, but I think I'm experiencing chest pains. And I'm pretty sure I need to go to the hospital. And he says, come with me right now. And I go with him to the parking lot. And then he looks at me and goes, Jonathan, just go home. He's like, I will take care of this. Just go home. Do not come back here. Do not steal any more stuff. And to this day, I really don't know why he told me to just go home. I assume it was him making good on his promise that if I did do this for him, it would be good karma. But I've thought about this story a lot, and I've wondered if there's a moral to it. And I think that I figured it out. I think that the moral of this story is that whether you're an old man like Marvin or a young man like me, feel free to steal from the Madison, New Jersey Stop. As far as I can tell, there are absolutely no consequences. All right, everyone. My name is Jonathan Vanhalem. Thank you so much for coming out. Give a big round of applause to Michael Candell. Big round of applause to Sesh Comedy. Get home safely, everyone. Have a good night.